No matter what age your child is, you want the best for their future. What do they want to do after graduation? What career path do they want to take? These questions can be overwhelming. That's why you should ask them this question. What's your E? Seminole County Public Schools ePathway program is designed for your student to choose their own path in life from as many options as we can offer. Whether they're looking to enlist, enroll, or be employed, we're excited to help you and your child make it happen. Want them to enroll in a college or university? We'll help you find the best school for them to continue their education. Learn about grants and programs to help your child obtain their degree at a pace and a cost that works for you both. Are they looking to go straight into employment? Discover a variety of trades and skills that will propel their future. They can learn aviation maintenance, automotive repair, culinary arts, and more to hone their talents in growing industries. Is your child interested in enlistment? We'll help them find the right path of service, whether it's military, law enforcement, fire response, or EMS. They can serve the community while learning skills that will last a lifetime. What's your E? Explore options with ePathways by visiting us online at the link below. No matter what age your child is, you want the best for their future. What do they want to do after graduation? What career path do they want to take? These questions can be overwhelming. That's why you should ask them this question. What's your E? Seminole County Public Schools ePathway program is designed for your student to choose their own path in life from as many options as we can offer. Whether they're looking to enlist, enroll, or be employed, we're excited to help you and your child make it happen. Want them to enroll in a college or university? We'll help you find the best school for them to continue their education. Learn about grants and programs to help your child obtain their degree at a pace and a cost that works for you both. Are they looking to go straight into employment? Discover a variety of trades and skills that will propel their future. They can learn aviation maintenance, automotive repair, culinary arts, and more to hone their talents in growing industries. Is your child interested in enlistment? We'll help them find the right path of service, whether it's military, law enforcement, fire response, or EMS. They can serve the community while learning skills that will last a lifetime. What's your E? Explore options with ePathways by visiting us online at the link below. No matter what age your child is, you want the best for their future. What do they want to do after graduation? What career path do they want to take? These questions can be overwhelming. That's why you should ask them this question. What's your E? Seminole County Public Schools ePathway program is designed for your student to choose their own path in life from as many options as we can offer. Whether they're looking to enlist, enroll, or be employed, we're excited to help you and your child make it happen. Want them to enroll in a college or university? We'll help you find the best school for them to continue their education. Learn about grants and programs to help your child obtain their degree at a pace and a cost that works for you both. Are they looking to go straight into employment? Discover a variety of trades and skills that will propel their future. They can learn aviation maintenance, automotive repair, culinary arts, and more to hone their talents in growing industries. Is your child interested in enlistment? We'll help them find the right path of service, whether it's military, law enforcement, fire response, or EMS. They can serve the community while learning skills that will last a lifetime. What's your E? Explore options with ePathways by visiting us online at the link below.
Good evening. I call to order the meeting of February 21st, 2023 school board meeting. Tonight we have a special guest, and I would invite the principal from Indian Trails to introduce him, please. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce one of our amazing trailblazers, Zechariah Cartledge. Zechariah is an 8th grade student at Indian Trails Middle School. Zechariah has a passion for helping not only our first responders, but also the families of our first responders. Because of his appreciation for our first responders, he started a nonprofit Running for Heroes organization. He walks or runs the walk and doesn't just talk the talk by giving back to his community and those that have continued to give the ultimate sacrifice. With that, I'm not going to take any more of your time, and I'm going to turn it over to Zechariah to share a little bit about his passion and to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please welcome Zechariah.
Once again, good evening. I want to thank all of you from the school board and Ms. Harshafi for allowing me to do the Pledge of Allegiance and get to talk about my organization for a few minutes. So, like she said, my name is Zachariah Cartledge. I've owned a nonprofit called Running for Heroes for about 3 or 4 years now. It's a nonprofit organization where our goal is to run 1 mile in honor of every fallen police officer and firefighter who was killed in line of duty in the United States, along with U.S. territories and Canada. Every run we do, I carry, or one of our runners carries a flag, and then after the run, we send that flag to the family personally. Since 2019, we've done over 1,400 miles. I have personally done over 1,300 of those miles. All have been for fallen first responders who have passed away in line of duty. We also raise money, and we have been able to give back over $375,000 to injured first responders. Every month, we give a $10,000 check to somewhere in the United States to an injured first responder through our grant program. We also have a Running for Heroes canine branch run by a 9-year-old girl in Las Vegas. She's been able to run miles for fallen canines, and also we've raised over $25,000 to help canines in need of ballistic vests and materials. We've also raised over $275,000 for families of fallen first responders through our Families of Our Fallen Beneficiary Fund for first responders leaving behind children under the age of 18 years old. And as I mentioned, we have other runners as well, and we have a new thing called the Zachariah Cartledge Scholarship Fund. Basically, whenever one of our runners, our youth runners, does 25 miles, they get a $1,000 scholarship towards their college. And we usually take in runners that would like to run in the 4th grade to 6th grade range. Finally, we also have a tribute hall. It's a 3,600 square feet building open in Winter Springs, Florida. Half of the building is a tribute or a memorial type area. It has many artifacts and many notes and many different things that we've been able to receive from families. We also have lots of different information in there about first responders as well. The other half of the building is meant for my dad, obviously, because he works full-time for Running for Heroes now, but it's also meant for a substation for our Winter Springs Police Department. We have free snacks and drinks. We also have a station in there where they have a computer they can work on, as well as clean restrooms to use. And all the time we have Winter Springs police officers going in there and being able to relax while they're on their shift. Thank you for allowing me to spend my time here. And if you now stand, I'd like to start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you again.
Okay, for the official record, this is reorganizing from our executive session, reconvening from our executive session. I'd like the record to reflect that Member Davis is with us virtually. Present are Member Garrick, Vice Chair Sanchez, Member Pennick, School Board Superintendent, and School Board Attorney, as well as our Board Clerk, the famous Jill. Roll call order this evening will be Member Davis, Member Garrick, Vice Chair Sanchez, Member Pennick, and then myself. Ms. Moramis, do we have some acknowledgments this evening? Okay, thank you. Leanne Briatico from Seminole County Council of PTA. Michelle Jones, Seminole County Council of PTA. Katie Murphy, Seminole County Council of PTA. And Michelle Pettinger, Seminole County Council PTA. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Superintendent, do you have any agenda modifications?
Yes, the addendum for good cause is marked on our electronic agenda by a green flag named addendum item, and it includes the addition of a section titled Employee Recognition for tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. School board members, Member Davis, do you have any items for agenda modifications?
No.
Thank you. Member Garrick,
None this evening.
Vice Chair Sanchez,
No modifications, thank you.
Member Pennick.
No, ma'am.
Thank you, and I do not either. Next up, is there a motion to approve the agenda outline?
Motion.
Second.
Are there any discussion? Okay, seeing those, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Superintendent, do we have any presentations or recognitions?
We have a number of recognitions and presentations tonight. We'll start with our Veteran of the Month, Frederick Ramey, who will be introduced by Assistant Principal Mr. Vebin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Been here a long time. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Sergeant Major retired Frederick Ramey, began his Army career in January 1991. He attended one-stop unit training at Fort Knox, Kentucky, graduating as 19-kilo armor crewman on a tanker. His assignments as a tanker included Fort Knox, Kentucky, Mannheim, Germany, Fort Lewis, Washington, and Fort Benning, Georgia. Sergeant Major Ramey was then selected to serve as a recruiting NCO in 1997, where he was assigned to Albany Recruiting Battalion in Springfield, Massachusetts. Sergeant Major Ramey continued his Army recruiting career as a 79 Romeo career recruiter and was assigned as a station commander in Greenfield and also Leominster. After completing consecutive tours as station commander, Sergeant Major Ramey transitioned his Army health recruiting assignments in healthcare, included regional manager of the Northeast Health Recruiting Team in Boston, battalion master trainer, 1st Medical Recruiting Battalion in Fort Meade, 1st Sergeant of the Military District of Washington, 1st Sergeant of Orlando Medical Recruiting Company in Orlando, 1st Sergeant of the Jupiter Recruiting Company, Battalion Operations Sergeant Major Dallas, Recruiting Battalion in Dallas, Texas, Brigade Operations Sergeant Major of the 2nd Recruiting Brigade, Southeast U.S. Sergeant Major Ramey's military education includes primary leadership development course, basic non-commissioner officer course, and advanced leadership course, 1st Sergeant course, and the U.S. Army Sergeant's Major Academy. Additional schooling includes the Healthcare Recruiter course, Station Commander course, and Army Recruiter course. Sergeant Major Ramey's civilian education includes a Bachelor's of Science Administration from Trident University International, where he graduated magna cum laude, a master's degree in education leadership from the American College of Education, and is currently a doctoral candidate with ACE. After serving 25 years of active service in the Army, Sergeant Major Ramey elected to retire in March 2016. Later began teaching at Winter Springs High School in August 2016. He's married to Virginia Ramey, who's also an educator for over 25 years and served as the principal and is now the director of student success and instructional improvement for the Osceola County School District. He has 4 children. His oldest daughter graduated from UCF in 2015 and now works as a mental health counselor. And his 3 other children currently attend Rainbow Elementary. Congratulations and thank you, Sergeant Major retired Frederick Ramey, for your service to our country.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Beeman. The Health Services Division is here tonight to recognize the heroic acts of 2 staff members of Jackson Heights Middle School, Ms. Michelle Person and Mr. James McNeil. Come on down, guys. So on Friday, February 10th, a medical emergency occurred on campus where a student was in need of the Heimlich maneuver. Ms. Person and Mr. McNeil recognized the early signs of distress and provided aid without any hesitation. Through teamwork and perseverance, these two individuals, in conjunction with a fellow student, were successfully able to dislodge the item from the student's throat. I'm happy to report that the student is already back in school with no further complications due to the heroic efforts of these two individuals. It is stories like these that empower us to continue the work we are doing throughout the district to offer each school the opportunity to receive mass health training to better prepare the school staff for situations like this. So Ms. Person and Mr. McNeil, we are forever grateful for your contributions to saving a student's life. You will always be a health services hero.
Good evening, Superintendent and school board members. I'm Jean Van Smith with the Foundation for Seminole County Public Schools. And I'm excited today because we're recognizing Addition Financial for their SCPS debit card program. Each time an Addition member swipes their SCPS logo debit card, Addition donates 3 cents to the foundation. And those pennies add up because of the swipes last year. Addition is here to donate $20,000 to support the foundation. Yeah, I'll pop. It is great. That funding supports our foundation senior scholarship program as well as the Families in Need program support for homeless students. And even more exciting, the $20,000 is the most that has ever been raised in Seminole County through this program. We appreciate the partnership of Addition Financial, and joining us today is Nora Rodriguez Patterson, Chief Communications Officer, Katie Thomason, VP of Community Engagement and Partnerships, and Holton Mills, Partnership Specialist. Thank you so much for your support.
Here, help us hold a sign.
Yes, by the superintendent.
It should be back behind it, yeah.
Two for one tonight. I would also like to recognize the Heart of Florida United Way for their partnership. This is the second year we have done a partnership with Heart of Florida United Way, and they do a $40,000 grant with the foundation to support programs including our mentoring program, school supplies for students in need, classroom grants, and more. Joining us today is Tatum Kelly, Corporate Engagement Manager, and Reginald Mells, Corporate Engagement Manager with United Way. Thank you so much for a true partnership with the foundation.
Good evening, school board members and Ms. Beeman. It is great excitement that I introduce to you our new principal of Jackson Heights Middle School, Mr. Claudemir Pierre. Pierre earned a Bachelor's of Science degree from the University of Central Florida, a Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction, and a Master of Education in Educational Leadership from the American College of Education. Mr. Pierre has taught at Wekiva Elementary School, Teague Middle School, and Daytona State College. He has served as a Dean of Students and Assistant Principal at Jackson Heights Middle School and as an Assistant Principal at Indian Trails Middle School. Mr. Pierre was also recently selected as the 2022 Assistant Principal of the Year for Seminole County Public Schools. Joining him this evening is his wife, Biona Cassius, his children, Bianca and Chloe Pierre, his brother, Mark Pierre, retired Principal Sarah Manser, Indian Trails Principal Trish Harshafi, and the leadership team at Jackson Heights Middle School.
Thank you. We now have our focused on student achievement. I don't know who's leading. Dr. Weissong? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Kraus, board members, Superintendent Beeman. I've got a great group of colleagues with me tonight, and we're going to give you an update on our summer programming plans. To my right is Julie Sioka, our coordinator for supplemental academic programs, who is leading all of this work. Jamie Minetto, our director of federal projects, and then to my left, Derek Jensen, our director of teaching and learning, and Kelly Thompson, our director of research and accountability. As you can see, this is an all hands on deck project, and there are many other collaborators in this work, including all of the assistant superintendents, because every school will be involved this summer, as well as many of our department heads in our operations departments. So this is truly a team effort. Just to clarify, this summer we will be offering all of the regular summer programming that we would typically do. So that includes our third grade summer learning camps, kinder camp for selected rising kindergartners, a small high school summer program. But additionally, the scale-up part of this is using our ESSER funding, including some targeted grants from the Department of Education, to offer supplemental summer programming on all of our campuses. Again, as a reminder, the purpose of this work is to continue to help each student address whatever remaining academic issues they've experienced as a result of the pandemic. And we know that every family experienced the last 3 years very differently, and so we're using a variety of strategies during the school year to mitigate impacts. but we also know that utilizing the summer can be another way to help some of our students. So as you can see, this slide, very basic, just a summary of our data from the last few years. And again, 18-19 was our last assessment year prior to pandemic impacts. And so ultimately what we would want to see, certainly by the end of 23-24, when supplemental funding for this work ends, is that we're back level to where we were in 18-19. And if we can accomplish that while also having completed a standards transition, an assessment transition, and replacement of all K through 12 instructional materials over that period of time, then we have something really remarkable to talk about. But this summer, again, is our next opportunity to try to, for some students, address remaining learning loss, and then for other students, we're going to be accelerating learning because they're ready to move forward and take advantage of some of the academic acceleration. Again, just keep in mind, board members, that because of the state's decision in 2019 to begin a standards and an assessment and an instructional materials transition, we won't come back in a couple of years with this chart exactly filled out because, again, we'll have completely changed our assessment system. And so this theoretical measurement of 18-19 to 23-24 won't ever be perfect, but again, we're trying to use all of our data to tell us how we're doing longitudinally. I'm going to turn things over to Ms. Sioka, and she's going to walk you through both what's happening now and then some of the plans for the summer.
Good evening. So right now we have several interventions that are ongoing in our schools. One of them is tutorial programs that are happening during the school day as well as after school. Coming up over spring break, we have several schools that are going to be offering spring break and weekend academies on their school sites for extra opportunities. We are going to be having some Saturday camps that are associated with those, and some schools are choosing to do boost camps as standalones for students. And we're also offering professional development for teachers. Last year was the best summer ever as we transitioned to the new standards, and this summer we're going to have the best summer ever version 2 for updates for our teachers. So some exciting highlights of our summer programs is that we're hoping to provide opportunities to over 5,000 students across our district. Programs are going to be available at all of our elementary, middle, and high school campuses. We're going to be providing free breakfast and lunch to all of our student participants. Transportation is going to be provided if they live more than 2 miles away. There's another opportunity where teachers could submit grant applications that are going to be evaluated to host unique learning experience camps. So these are things that they may have always wanted an opportunity to do, such as something with STEM or leadership. So right now we have about 59 grant applications from our teachers. We'll also be providing extended contract opportunities for administrators, teachers, social workers, paraprofessionals, transportation, school resource officers, custodial, health services, and Red Apple Dining. And then just keep in mind that these programs are being coordinated with all of our traditional summer programs that we typically do offer. And because we're offering this program to so many students, it is going to be an undertaking for many of our departments, and I have them listed above. There's been a lot of planning already going into the project to make sure that we're able to provide transportation and meals and the professional development and supports for all of the students to have this learning opportunity. So we have different programs at each level. And in elementary school, we're going to have literacy camps for our students that are entering 1st through 3rd grade next year. The really neat thing about these camps are it is a 1-to-5 student to teacher ratio. So there will be 8 teachers that are working with 40 students at each school. This is a 5-week program that will begin at the end of May and last through the month of June. We're going to have a summer school academic camp. This is for rising 4th and 5th graders. This is a 1-to-15 student to teacher to student ratio. We'll be serving 60 students at each school, and this will take place all 4 weeks of June. And this isn't a camp where you select the weeks. It is the students are expected to attend all 4 weeks. Then we're going to be offering Ramp Camp, which is our rigorous accelerated mathematics pathway. This will be for our rising 4th and 5th graders, a 1 to 15 teacher to student ratio, and this will occur for 2 weeks during June. Then at our secondary schools, we also have some opportunities for our students. Our rising 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will participate in academic camps for a 1 to 15 teacher to student ratio. This will serve 90 students at each school and occur over all 4 weeks of June. Ramp camp will be for those students that are entering 6th grade, and it will have that 1 to 15 teacher to student ratio and will take place the first 2 weeks of June. Then in our high school, because we have some traditional programs already offered, we're going to focus on our rising 10th and 11th graders, where we'll serve 60 students, and this camp will take place all 4 weeks of June.
Thank you. So, like Dr. Weissong said, for the next few slides, I'll provide you with a brief overview of our instructional objectives and kind of what we're seeking to accomplish with all of these programs instructionally to serve all of our students. The first of those major initiatives are our kind of 1st through 3rd grade literacy camps. So these are for rising 1st through 3rd grade students. And like Ms. Sioka said, I think the most exciting thing about these camps is that we have that very small student to teacher ratio. So our students are going to get some very hands-on targeted learning. And the whole point of these camps is, like the name says, to address those foundational skills gaps that they may still have coming into 1st and 2nd and 3rd grade. And so a major component of this program is going to be students working with a research-based reading intervention program and teachers working closely with them in small groups, students rotating among those small groups throughout the day to really dive into kind of those foundational literacy and comprehension skills. Students are also, though, going to get to have a lot of fun because as part of their afternoon, they'll be participating in a STEM-based literacy lesson. So we're going to have a really cool STEM literacy curriculum for students to be doing kind of a project-based exploration of science, technology, engineering, and math through literacy. And we're also going to have school social workers who are going to be available on campus to work with students and support those resiliency skills in our students as well. And like I said, we're going to be using a strong research-based and instructional tool for this to really build those literacy skills in our rising 1st through 3rd grade students. The next major program we will be running throughout the summer is our ramp camps. As you know, we are committed to high-quality math acceleration in Seminole County. We have many, many students and families who love math, want to pursue advanced mathematics as early as 4th and 5th grade in elementary school to put them on the pathway to middle school algebra and high school calculus even. And so ramp camps are really a mechanism for students and families who are interested in this advanced mathematics pathway to have a gentle on-ramp into that accelerated mathematics. And so these 2-week camps are going to be taught by many of the teachers who will have those same students the next year in their ramp classes. And they'll be working on kind of the foundational grade level skills that'll lead to an effective on-ramp into those accelerated math standards that the students will be learning from day one. Because as you know, our ramp students are learning mathematics, a grade level ahead of their peers oftentimes. We're also going to have a project-based STEM component in the afternoons of our ramp camps, and so these advanced mathematics students are going to get a chance to be in teams working together in a project-based STEM initiative, and I think they're really going to enjoy that as well. Finally, we have our summer academic camps. These are in grades 4 through 8, and we have a 10th and 11th grade opportunity. Our 4 through 8 opportunity is going to be a ELA reading and math-based curriculum provided by the National Summer School Initiative, and it's an accelerated learning model for ELA and math. Students are going to be reading, writing, doing discourse-based math, and that's one of the most exciting things about this program to me is that it's a discourse-based curriculum, so the whole objective is to get students engaging with text, engaging with complicated mathematics problems or problem-based mathematics, and then collaborating with their peers, talking through their problem-solving process with their teachers, and having like a language-rich classroom experience. The other part of this I really, really like is that our it has a lot of job-embedded professional development for our teachers. So our teachers who are participating in this program are going to get professional development before the summer session starts with some mentor teachers that will help them plan for the summer using the curriculum. And then every week they'll have a check-in with these mentor teachers where they're like reviewing student work and planning for future weeks and getting some professional development in those discourse-based practices that they can then bring into their classrooms throughout the school year as well. So it's not just building our student capacity, but it's building our teacher capacity as well. Similarly, students in 10th and 11th grade are going to be participating in a reading and math-based curriculum to really help prepare them with the ELA and math skills they need to be successful on their EOCs and on their SAT, PSAT in high school as well.
So a few weeks ago, we had released the applications for our literacy and summer academic camps to all of our families in Seminole County Public Schools. And as of last Friday, we had 2,262 families that had expressed interest in attending, and you can see where we are right now at each of the levels. I just pulled the numbers right before we left, or right before I came here, and we were up to 2,424 applicants. The application window is going to close tomorrow, but we still will allow parents to apply, and we are going to do some focused recruitment at the schools in case parents didn't see that opportunity. Then there'll be an opportunity for families to completely enroll later in March.
As you can imagine, this type of initiative takes quite a bit of funding. We were very fortunate to receive pandemic-related funding to support supplemental academic programs. So each of the programs that are listed up on this slide were provided by the DOE specific to supplemental academic programs. Each of the programs does have very specific requirements as it relates to different assurances and areas that we must focus on. For example, the first one is for our K-3 students specific to reading tutorial. So that will be funding our literacy camps along with our summer learning camps. Will also be funding our literacy camps. So we've put these funds together in order to really provide that comprehensive approach during the summer of 2023 for our students. The first three funding lines up there really will be used for our summer 2023, and then we will reserve some funding to do some level of this type of work for summer 2024 as well. I did want to also point out that we are matching this a bit with our ESSER 3 general funds to just support some additional needs that some of our programs have.
Evaluation of these programs is required by ESSER, and it is something that we are focused on in assessment and accountability. Our goal is to identify products and programs that are having a significant impact on the learning data that you saw at the beginning of this presentation. And it is also part of our continuous improvement model that has something that is a core value of Seminole County Public Schools, that we engage in continuous improvement at all levels. So our evaluators, which is my current staff, are working with project and program leads to gather all the needed information and conduct these evaluations of these selected programs. They're doing quantitative analysis of data aligned to the programs. They're also doing qualitative analysis focused on surveys, interviews, focus groups, and then we merge both that quantitative and qualitative data together to give us the best input on how this program has impacted students, teachers, and overall learning. In addition to that, our evaluators are also engaged in return on investment training so that we can begin to figure ROIs attached to specific programs.
Before we wrap up and turn it back over to you, Chairman, I just want to add a couple of notes. First of all, thank you to the board for allowing us to go on this adventure. You actually approved the blueprint for this work back in December of 2021 when we brought the ESSER 3 plan, and so this isn't something that we just decided to do 2 or 3 months ago. It's really been on the roadmap for quite some time, and appreciate the board allocating funds for this purpose. And then, of course, Ms. Beeman reviewed all of the plans and approved each camp, and thank you, Superintendent, for your support of this work. I also want to give a big advance advance thank you to every single teacher and teacher-based employee who is going to do this work at spring break, on weekends in April and May, and then this summer. And we're thrilled that the federal funding allows us to appropriately compensate all of those people for that effort. But it is an extra sacrifice. It's time away from families and friends during normal off-contract time. So we're very grateful for all of the teachers that ultimately are going to end up providing additional services to families. And finally, I just want to acknowledge, thinking back to Ms. Minetto's funding slide, that this type of intensive summer work would not be possible with just our general funds from the Florida Education Finance Program. Without the federal pandemic relief funding, we would not be able to sustain this type of effort. So we're very grateful for the opportunity to build these programs and provide them to students. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Let's go in roll call order for questions. Oh, okay. Member Davis, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Member Garrick?
Not any questions, but I did want to say how excited I am to hear about the specialized classes that will be offered, where teachers get to share their passions and gives them an opportunities to sort of let loose in whatever area they've been dreaming about inspiring kids. So I look forward to hearing about all those programs that are offered to our kiddos.
Thank you. Vice Chair Sanchez?
First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. I know you all have been working diligently on this, and I appreciate all that you do. My first question is how are we doing with the number of teachers that have applied to help with the programs? And I know some are even job sharing per se, so they don't have to be there the whole entire time. So if you could answer that one first.
I don't have the exact numbers with me, but we did have over 500 applicants as of this afternoon. It looks like we'll be able to support all of the programs. This week, surveys will go out to the principals, and if they have teachers who aren't going to have an opportunity at their school, we'll be able to offer them an opportunity at another school.
Okay, thank you. And then my next question, I saw that you have so many being served at each school. How did you come up with that number? And, with the ratio, it could change, as we know, with, some of the results from iReady not being in, and the fact that we're still waiting for some students to have conferences with their teachers and with the families. I want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those students, and I know applications are still being taken in, but I want to make sure that they are still being able to, that they know that as well. But the ratio at each school, so that means every single public school is going to be open compared to what we've had in the past.
Yes, ma'am, that's right, every
Okay.
campus.
And then the ratio situation, how do we come up with that number?
It's really a combination of things. First of all, some of the grants that were posted on the slide specifically require low student ratios. Again, we typically would not be able to fund something like a 5-to-1 ratio, but the goal is very intense individualized work as opposed to large whole group instruction. So that's where we're shooting typically particularly in the camps that are a little more focused on the learning loss piece, that 5-to-1 ratio, and then Ms. Yoke, I believe 15-to-1 in the others. So some of it we're working with the grant requirements, some we're working with the budget, and then of course we're looking at all of the data. And I'll just add that obviously our principals and their staffs play a key role in this, because to your point, Vice Chair Sanchez, there'll be additional student recruitment beyond this initial interest summary. The primary purpose of putting out this sign-up was for families to put dates on their calendar and to know that this is an option. Sometimes when we've done this or been able to do small camps in the past, it's been too late for families who are making plans, so we wanted to get this out early. But even I was at an elementary school this morning, and the principal has a plan as data continues to be released as they get more data to have those individual conversations with families to say, you really need to do this.
Perfect.
And then they also will have the ability to continue to recruit teachers if they need to.
Awesome. And then my next question, are we going to have additional services on the facilities? I know that we have, our APs that are, 10 or 11-month employees, but same thing with our guidance counselors, mental health counselors. I want to make sure that we have mental health counselors available for our students as well. Are we able to accommodate that?
So our assistant superintendents have been very involved with this planning as well, and they've identified the personnel that they feel need to be on campus and available depending on what happens at different camps. And so, and Ms. Minetto set aside that funding so that if a school was scheduled to not have administrative coverage during a camp, we've allocated that funding. Same thing with health services, social work, et cetera. So
perfect.
We'll have those
and
services
ELL
available.
as well for ESOL students
Yes.
too. And then my last question is, when we were first discussing this and when we received the funding, I had mentioned in one of my board book reviews that I would love to bring the schools to some of the areas. For example, the Boys and Girls Club or Midway, where we bring our teachers to them, because sometimes we see children that maybe can't get to the bus stop in a timely manner. Maybe their parents didn't get them up in time, or they didn't get up in time, and therefore then they miss a week worth of the summer camp. How can we eliminate that and eventually even bring some of these wonderful programs to our communities, some of our homeless areas that possibly we could do some hands-on activities where it takes a village, and we're bringing in all kinds of resources as well, healthcare and so on and so forth, so all the family is engaged in helping our children.
So we do have that as a note, and we want to take a look at kind of the geographic spread of registrations and where needs are. Again, we're fully funding transportation for those more than 2 miles from home, which is a significant
yes, it is.
Commitment by transportation, which is normally a scaled-down department in summer, and we've asked them to scale way up. So there's a lot of logistics to that, but we do have that as a note, Vice Chair, to take a look at that.
Great, thank you. And like I said, I appreciate all that you're doing, and I know this takes a village to get everything together. And everybody and your team, please thank them, because I know how much work you're putting into this, so thank you.
Thank you. Member Pennick.
So you answered some of my question, but I want to take it a little bit further. The high school numbers are a little low, and I realize as a high school student, the last thing you want to do is go to summer school. What is your plan for target recruiting there, and are you looking at rising ninth graders to maybe acclimate them to the campuses? And then the second part of that is, if you don't have a large enough enrollment at one school, what is your transition plan?
So Mr. Rice has been working with a team of his administrators to talk about how to structure the 9th and 10th grade programs to, first of all, ensure that they're viable numerically, but secondly, to make them as appealing as possible to students who need to be there. So those details are still being finalized by his committee, and certainly we're not surprised to see that there were fewer high school registrations than elementary. But again, I think that's where that outreach work by administrators and counselors based on even grades through the third quarter in March are going to be really important.
Thank you again for all that you guys do. I appreciate it.
I just had a couple of quick questions and comments. This feels to me like the best summer ever student edition, which I'm really looking forward to. So obviously we'll have end of year testing that the students have done. I'm not really sure who this question is for. Will there be much testing during the process? I mean, I think that's how we evaluate the ROI. Is that right?
Absolutely. So one of the requirements of all of these programs as part of the funding is that we do pre and post testing as part of the program evaluation that our research and accountability team is going to do. So I didn't know if you wanted to talk more about the actual process itself?
Yes, each one of the programs, my data analysts are working closely with Ms. Sioka and with Mr. Jensen, and we've gone step by step through what these programs are going to be like, and so we'll have a pre-test and a post-test associated with each one of the specific programs. In some cases, excuse me, it may be a DRA assessment for our younger ones, which is a typical assessment our students are used to taking, which is an oral one-on-one assessment. We have some options to utilize our existing Star Renaissance licenses to do some small scale, kind of custom assessments engaged in literacy and math, as well as some program-specific assessments that will be very small, will not take up a significant amount of the time. We want to meet the requirements of having a pre and post test. We want to get data that will help us with the program evaluation, but certainly the most important thing is the students' engagement in the lessons, in the instruction, and downplaying the role that that assessment plays in their experience this summer. They will have taken enough assessments when they've gotten that far, so.
And if I can add to that, Chairman, to your point about the student version of the best summer ever, you'll notice, and this was very deliberate, that all of these camps are in June because we know that we're asking a lot of additional people to step up to the plate for the first month of their 2-month summer break. And we want to be sure that they get some rest in early July, because then we are asking teachers to come back a little early and go through additional professional development the last week in July. Our leadership teams are back together the 3rd week in July. And so we've got to have a little bit of a buffer there, as well as for those operations departments who then need to pivot as soon as these camps end to put the final touches on the start of next school year. And certainly we don't want to be sitting here in mid-August saying that some things fell behind because we were so busy running summer programs. So all of this is a balancing act with the calendar.
Incredible collaboration. I'm so appreciative, and I'm really hopeful for those incoming 9th graders to get involved. I think it's an opportunity to get familiar with the campus and so forth. My final question, the hours, will it run close to regular school hours, or what is your anticipation? To be determined?
No, it's a 5-hour day at each level. High schools will start at 7:20, elementary schools at 8:20, and middle schools at 9:20.
Okay. Thank you all so much. I'm so grateful for this. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're next at the point of board comments. These are not committee reports, just any comments that you would like to share. Member Davis, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Member Garrick?
Would you like us to discuss school visits and, or is this just committee reports?
Nope, not committee reports, just any general information that you wanted to share.
Great. I wanted to, first of all, say thank you to this board, the women who have served in the past and prior, for making education such a vital part of supporting our school board members. Member Davis and I each had the opportunity to go to a finance forum in Kissimmee through the Florida School Board Association. And it was to my great surprise that many of my peers who have just started as school board members have never even met with many of the district personnel. So I was so pleased to be able to report that I've sat down with the CFO several times for hour-long sessions, that the assistant superintendents and everyone on staff has been really embracing the education of school board members to allow us to be able to serve the public in an educated and informed way. So thank you for that. I'll just hit a few highlights because I know that we had lots to do and many of us were there together. I will skip over a couple of ones that I know other people will jump in. Academic team finals were here in this room. Very excited that each of our high schools will be participating. Got to see them in action, and the superintendent and I were able to go to Millennium Middle School. And I want to remind everyone that this month, as Black History Month, is full of many opportunities. This Thursday at Millennium Middle School, there will be a phenomenal program to celebrate African Americans in our community and beyond, and Black History Month. There will also be a Black History celebration put on by the Black Student Union to celebrate the historic Oviedo Colored Schools Museum, which just had its groundbreaking 2 days ago. So exciting news on all sides of the county. I also got to attend Hamilton Elementary's Magnet Night, which was exciting to see all of the opportunities, but also exciting to see the collaboration happening at Hamilton Elementary. Not only were there elementary school students, fifth grade ambassadors leading future students around the school, but there were also students from Seminole High School. We had students from the Young Men and Women of Excellence. We had students from the Latinos in Action. And then we had members from Crooms Academy, all working together to excite kids about the engineering magnet at Hamilton. And then this past Sunday, Abby Sanchez, Vice Chair, and I were able to celebrate Superintendent Beeman. She was recognized in the first annual Black Business and Professional Day celebration at Allen Chapel AME Church. So it was a true honor to be there for that service. And I will turn it over to the next person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Sanchez.
Well, I have quite a bit, some committee, but some not. So I'll go ahead and just stay on the things that are not committee related. First of all, thank you, Zachariah Cartridge and his family who were here earlier. I've had the opportunity to be with them since he started the run back in 4th grade and was in our Scholastic magazine at Layer Elementary School. And it's been such an honor to watch him grow and to see him flourish with all that he has done throughout the nation. You know, he's very humble, but if you just type in his name to see what he has done throughout our country, you would just be blown away. Somebody that young has taken on some major commitments and has followed through with every single one of them. And Layer Elementary School, to the community embracing the building, which I've had an opportunity to view, to the fact that hopefully, in the future, that we will be able to open up the facility within the curriculum based for field trips that has so many wonderful exhibits there. And if you haven't had a chance to go to the building, please take a trip there because it's extremely beneficial, and it even has displays from 9/11 and memorabilia from you name it. It's really, really impressive. I will have an opportunity to be heading up to Tallahassee shortly, and I can't stress enough to how important it is for everybody listening as well as to everybody that's here to really pay close attention to our bills, our educational bills, or any other bill that you feel is extremely important to you. I do know that our bills change constantly. Session does not start until March 7th. However, they are already meeting, and they already have had numerous committee meetings. With that being said, the bills will change constantly. So this 74-page Senate Bill 202 companion bill to go with House Bill 1 may change numerous times. But there are some interesting and some benefits to some of these bills. So I want you to find the positives in them as well. Beat off of those, but also find things that you feel that we may need to help our legislators understand what key information needs to be brought to their attention. And if you have an opportunity to write to your legislators or to share your concerns any which way possible, please do so, because it's extremely vital that we all do this. I mean, I hear more people say, well, I don't pay attention to the news. It's all negative. Well, you know what? I get that. But Google, a lot of people are on social media, pull up all the different committee meetings that are going on and pull up what's going on. It's extremely important. We need to know what's going on with our AP classes, our, I'm sorry, just went blank, SAT, ACT, I just went blank on the wording I was just going to say with it. Anything related to our AP classes, but I will say that some of the information in here, especially in Senate Bill 202, I love the fact that they're giving us, according to this bill, that they are willing to give more money and funding for compensation for teachers and transportation. Those are great positive feedbacks for us to take in, and some flexibility for our cost centers, for our student stations. And I am all for choices, but there's a way to do it, and there's also a way that we need to have our dollars utilized to the best possible way that it can be beneficial for our public schools. So with that, please take the time to look at it, look over the family empowerment scholarships, and look at the choices programs and all the information that happens to be on all these documents. Take time. Don't just, I've seen so many negative comments on social media. Try to stay positive and utilize that energy and focus it towards Tallahassee and feed off of that. And let's see if we can work together to all come together with agreements and help our legislators make the best possible decision for the interest of our schools, our teachers, family, faculty, and staff. I will do the rest of my reports later, because most of everything else at, like Rosenwald History Center, I had an opportunity to go to on Sunday after we went to Allen Chapel Church. We had that barbecue. 11 of 14 of the buildings are being demolished this week. And to watch and listen to the phenomenal families talk about the history and their experiences there when they went to school in Altamont Springs. And we videoed it, and it was just amazing to listen to their stories and to listen to how they respected their teachers. If something happened discipline-wise, they were reprimanded. And boy, would I love to see those days come back for our teachers and our students and for our families. So it was really eye-opening and refreshing. There were hundreds of people there, and it was a magnificent event. So at that point, I'll stop at that, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Pennant.
All of mine are for end of meeting report.
Okay, thank you. I would just add that we were able to attend the UNCF breakfast where they honored Dr. Marion Cummings, and that was quite a nice celebration, and proud to be there with her. And also our partner Addition Financial, we got to all attend and surprise a very happy teacher who submitted an application, and we'll have her classroom renovated at the Seminole 9th Grade Center So we were all excited to be a part of that. And the rest of mine I will save for the committee reports. Okay, it is now time for public comments, agenda items. And you will have 3 minutes. And if I could ask Vice Chair to read her script, please.
Policy 0169.1, public participation at board meetings. The purpose of public participation in segments of the board meeting is to allow the public to address matters within the board's jurisdiction and not to resolve individual grievances or disputes. Public comments related to education, the board agenda, and the district are welcome and encouraged. But public comment segments are not forums to engage in personal attacks against school system employees or board members. To maintain orderly conduct, the public comment segment of the meeting may not be used as open forums to discuss matters unrelated to education, to support or oppose candidates for public office, including presentation of political and/or campaign issues, announcing candidacy or campaigning, or to engage in commercial speech attempting to sell a service or product to the board or the public, nor are they forums to address matters involving disciplinary actions of any kind, pending claims, complaints, or litigation against the district personnel. Public comment segment durations are as follows. Agenda items limited to 3 minutes. One group representative speaking on a proposition, maximum of 6 minutes. Speaker must remain on topic for agenda item. Non-agenda items are 2 minutes, limited to 2 minutes. Speakers shall direct their comments only to the board and may not address the audience or other speakers. No speaker may yield his or her time to any other person. Generally, substitutions of speakers will not be allowed. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to announce the first 3 speakers, and if you'll come up to this podium. Amanda Hutwelker, Nina Sandberg, and Jessica Tillman.
One has to be first. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Amanda Hutwelker, and I'm here today with grave concerns over the lack of discipline in our Seminole County public schools, specifically our middle schools. Students are being bullied, physically assaulted, verbally attacked, and threatened with little or no consequence. Students know that bad and even dangerous behavior is tolerated and minimized. Students have become so emboldened that they coordinate with friends to plan, perpetrate, record attacks, and then distribute them for bragging rights. Is there any wonder our kids feel unsafe at school? I hear grievances from parents regularly. One student jumped and choked in math class, another has food shoved in her face at lunch. The constant fighting before and during school, many ending in bloodshed. The recent video of a special needs student being recorded as a much larger boy trips and pushes her, launching her to the ground and sliding her across the hallway. How about when the student next to you threatens violence on your school and you report it, but he gets a slap on the wrist and he's in school the next day? And then you're expected to sit next to him for the rest of the semester. How does that work out? I'll tell you. Your child is overcome with fear and anxiety. She begs you to withdraw her from school. She'd rather be home safe than terrorized in her classroom. Many of my friends have withdrawn their children. They're exhausted from battling, trying to keep their kids safe. They homeschool or they go private where violence isn't widespread. But my plea tonight is for those still in the school system, feeling stuck there for one reason or another. They need help. They need policy change. They need action. What are you doing? And why is there no recourse for the violence? Parents are begging you to do something. They come to you with their stories. They show you their video recordings, the pictures of the bruises on their children's bodies. But the response is the same. The investigation was inconclusive. You can't press charges because there's no probable cause, or it was just horseplay. I don't know about you, but I teach my kids that putting your hands on someone in anger is never acceptable. I have a zero tolerance policy in my home for violence. I use clear expectations and clear consequences. And that's exactly why I don't have a violence problem in my home. Your discipline policy needs a complete overhaul. It's vague, it's subjective, it's biased, and it's not working. You shouldn't be able to categorize a special needs student being assaulted in your hallways as horseplay, instead of calling it what it is, a physical attack. Are incidents of violence being intentionally downplayed and miscategorized because a physical attack has to be reported to the state, but horseplay doesn't? Is the goal of your discipline policy to actually keep students safe and deter bad behavior? You need to get serious about discipline. You need to protect our kids. We need discipline reform,
Ma'am, your
and we
time
need
has
it now.
expired.
Thank you
can
very much.
Feel free to give your comments to the clerk.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm Nina Sandberg. The current SCPS discipline code, policies, practices, and procedures are totally screwed up. Teachers have quit over the broken SCPS discipline system. Parents have yanked their kids out of SCPS to do homeschool, private school, or internet school because discipline is completely messed up inside of SCPS. It is as if the current discipline system was developed by someone who never taught in a classroom and who was never a school principal ever. Teachers and parents from all political parties are fed up with SCPS's broken discipline system, and they want it fixed already. It is not normal. I never again want to see the child abuse that Dr. Griffin was allowing in the name of so-called no-tolerance discipline when he was superintendent. However, you cannot go to the other extreme where there is no proper discipline in SCPS at all now. SCPS keeps operating in extremes. It has been the extreme of actual child abuse in the name of discipline or the extreme of no discipline at all. Teachers and parents just want normal school discipline. We do not have that right now. There are supposed to be actual consequences for misbehavior at school, and those consequences are supposed to match the severity of the misbehavior. Elementary school teachers need to be allowed to use tools such as the color-coded behavior chart, daily behavior contracts, timeout, silent lunch, walking a few laps during recess, etc. They certainly need to have referral forms on their desks and need to be able to send children to the front office for more serious misbehaviors on occasion. Middle school teachers need to have lunch detention forms, after-school detention forms, and referral forms on their desks. They need to be allowed to issue lunch detentions and after-school detentions for minor offenses themselves. Then they need to be allowed to write referrals directly to the school dean for more serious offenses. All middle schools need to have their in-school suspension classrooms reinstated. Criminal offenses need to be referred directly to the school resource officers at the schools, and they must be allowed to actually do their jobs. This business where teachers are prevented from writing any referrals in order to cook the books and misrepresent reality on paper needs to stop already.
Order, please.
Jessica Tillman,
Order.
followed by Michelle Manella, followed by Stephen Cornea. Jessica Tillman.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Tillman. I am representing Moms for Liberty, Seminole County. The matrix used in the district is concerning. As it stands, sexual harassment is not mandatory to report to law enforcement. The asterisks in the matrix make it very wishy-washy on how discipline is handled. The administration wants low write-ups, low suspensions, and low alternative school placements so that they can pat themselves on the back for low discipline numbers. The safe harbor provision now that states, unless an investigation by the school officials regarding the possession of an object that is not allowed by the Student Conduct and Discipline Code has already begun, a student who approaches a school official and voluntarily turns in the object will not receive discipline. Why is this provision needed? We've never needed it before. I have to wonder how many times this has been utilized since adding it to the discipline code. It is the incidents. Is the incidents being reported with no discipline, or is it swept under the rug and not reported at all? The way this is worded makes it sound like a kid can essentially bring a weapon onto campus, threaten another student, and turn the weapon in with no discipline. These actions should not be untraceable. The code that talks about what happens if a student commits a felony but not a misdemeanor. We have policies in place for mandatory reporting if an adult, teacher, or staff commits a crime, but not if a student does. Some teachers do not have access to referrals. Some are being required to have pre-conversations before and being allowed to write students up. Parents are asking schools to discipline their children, and they are refusing. Punishments are being lessened by labeling something contraband instead of a weapon. There are fights and violence in the schools, making it unsafe for kids and staff. I have been told there are students scared to go to school. School resource officers' hands are tied, as it is up to the administration if crimes are reported or not. What good is a discipline code if you are not disciplining students? We need discipline reform, and we need it now. We are losing teachers en masse, and I promise you, discipline has something to do with it. This is a nationwide issue. We want this district to put discipline back in the hands of teachers, not administrators. I would rather see a safe school with all students, teachers, and staff than a low suspension rate or low number of alternate placement. What does it matter, suspension rate, if kids are scared to go to school? Trust your teachers and let them do their jobs. I'd also like to point out, when someone is harassed, the victim is the one moved. Why is that? Why isn't the harasser removed from the schools? Certainly, if the victim chooses to leave, that is their choice. But the first solution should be to remove the student committing the crime. It is more than a little concerning the superintendent yet again refused to take direction from the board in the last workshop. The discipline code was on the agenda to start with. When a board member asked to speak about the discipline code as a whole, it should have been opened up for discussion, not refused to waver from the changes made. If the board members are concerned about the discipline code, the teachers are concerned about the discipline code, parents and community members are concerned with the discipline code, why isn't the superintendent? As we can see, discipline is a major issue and it's not going away. Let's go back to the vision of that SCPS will be a premier school district in the state of Florida and will be recognized nationally for high standards, academic performance, and offering students customized educational pathways 24/7, 365. And our mission to ensure that all students acquire the knowledge, skills, and attitude to be productive citizens. The first step in fixing a problem is admitting there is one. If you're not willing to admit something is not right, that is your first problem. Board members answer to the community. The superintendent reports to the board, not the other way around. And I'm disappointed how often we have to remind you of that. The superintendent is failing to meet the vision and our mission, and is failing this district. Make our schools safe again.
Order, please.
Thank you.
Michelle Manella. School discipline issues are a primary reason teacher and staff turnover are at unprecedented levels and why record numbers of students are seeking alternative learning environments. It is imperative that SCPS take a hard look at the entire discipline code as a whole rather than trying to modify a badly broken policy. The current discipline matrix is confusing and hard to read. The overall goal seems to be to produce low numbers of write-ups, suspensions, and alternative school placements. Example, the word weapon has been replaced with contraband. Some teachers and staff are not allowed to even write a referral without first having a pre-conversation. Sexual harassment and misdemeanor crimes are no longer mandatory to report to law enforcement. Our school resource officers' hands are tied when school administrators refuse to report incidents. It certainly appears that a soft-on-crime attitude has taken hold from the superintendent's office on down. It might not look good for all that pesky data on discipline incidents to be on the rise, when if everything is instead being swept under the rug, it's possible to smile and say how safe the district is, and look at these beautiful declining metrics to prove it. The reality is there are a number of students across the district spending the day in fear for their safety, and teachers who feel powerless. These students are afraid to use the bathroom, scared to get on the bus, let down by teachers and staff who do absolutely nothing. These policies embolden bullies and troublemakers who have learned that there are rarely consequences for their behaviors, except in the most extreme cases. How can one possibly learn or teach in an environment like this? Again, I ask you to carefully consider looking at the discipline code as a whole and craft policies that not only deter misbehavior, but empower teachers and staff, vastly improve the learning environment, and give rule-abiding students a sense of safety that is sorely needed.
Thank you.
Order.
Mr. Cornea?
Thank you, Stephen Cornea. Last week I was speaking to a fellow teacher of mine, former middle school teacher of the year in Seminole County, Kim Stalker, who now teaches at Polo Park Middle School in Wellington, Florida, and she told me about a field trip she'd taken her kids on to the Kennedy Space Center. In an address to the joint session of Congress on May 25, 1961, President John Kennedy said, "I believe this country should set the goal of, before this decade is out, of landing a man safely on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth." A year later at Rice University, President Kennedy asked, "Why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one that we are unwilling to postpone, and one that we intend to win." Those words inspired a nation and a generation of young people to strive for excellence and follow their desires and follow their dreams. Many chose to go into now what we call STEM careers because of President Kennedy and that speech. 40 years ago, as a sixth grader at Ainsworth Elementary School in Portland, Oregon, we went to outdoor school. Every sixth grader in the Portland Public Schools went to camp for a week. It taught us an appreciation of the outdoors, of the environment, of what we lived in. And to this day, I don't think there's a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, who went to outdoor school that has forgotten that experience. Some of those people went on to become environmentalists, urban planners, but that experience in the outdoors still affects them. SCPS prides itself on being a highly rated STEM district, #1 in the state. 60 miles from here is a facility that exists and bears President Kennedy's name and has the opportunity to inspire students to go into STEM fields like no other. How many students in SCPS need only the inspiration of seeing a Saturn V, of seeing the shuttle Atlantis, of seeing a rocket launch, to go into STEM and pursue their dreams to the stars? Space science is part of our science curriculum, 8.E.5 to be exact. Why are field trips to Kennedy Space Center not an inherent part of this curriculum? To give you a challenge and paraphrase President Kennedy, I believe this board should set the goal within the next 2 years of developing a program that will send every 8th grader in Seminole County Public Schools to Kennedy Space Center for a day to experience what STEM can do. I know there are many reasons why this can't be done. Transportation, funding, what have you, but we must choose it. Why? Not because it's easy, but because it's hard, and because our students deserve that inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Order.
Attorney Cole Palmer, would you speak to the the section in our board book relating to the discipline code and why we addressed it as we did?
With regards to the workshop that was conducted previously, That was specific to the recent law that was changed, that went into effect January 17th, and we had to change those, that information, those specific areas in our code in order to be in compliance with the law. Clearly, that does not prevent the school board from having ongoing discussions or meetings as it relates to addressing the overall school code. And I believe the workshop ended with a decision to actually address it at the next open discussion. But the purpose of that particular workshop was to, in fact, bring it in alignment with the requirements of the law as it went into effect on the 17th of January.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And
Madam
Jill, is
Chair?
it in fact on our workshop? Is it March or April? April, okay. So we will be discussing it openly then. Thank you.
Madam Chair, to piggyback on your question, when you say law, that was legislation passed by Tallahassee, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
it's state law. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Regarding assessor requirements.
Thank you.
So the verbiage was changed for DOE purposes only, and that's where the preliminary report is in the board book, and that is our 2022-23 discipline, student conduct, and code book. The next one will be the one that we will be discussing at our next open board discussions and doing a deep dive into.
Thank you. Okay, next up is the consent agenda. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Is there a motion approved?
So motion.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Second.
I seconded.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And those
Aye.
opposed, nay. Okay, the motion passes. Next item, any items for, there were no items removed for separate consideration. Superintendent, do you have a recommendation regarding student discipline hearings?
Yes, that the School Board of Seminole County approve the student disciplinary recommendations from January 30th, 2023 and February 6th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Superintendent, do you have a report?
Well, my report is included in the book. Did want to mention, you all mentioned a number of things that I had on my list here, but did want to say another congratulations to our 2024 District Teacher of the Year, Ms. Hodges from Spring Lake Elementary. She will be moving forward as the Seminole County Teacher of the Year to the state process. And so looking forward to working with her this year in representing Seminole County. Again, to UNCF, thanking them for honoring our champion, our education champion, Dr. Marion Cummings, this year. And finally, wanting to say a special thank you to Addition Financial for renovating over the summer our classroom at the 9th grade center. So we are excited to see what that will look like. And this year, they brought to the reveal a number of Seminole State students that will be working on the renovation. So made for a very nice celebration and the individual that will receive that honor over the summertime. So all other things are in the book, and we'll thank Attorney Cole Palmer for clarifying, because there are particular legal rules in regards to how we notice discussion for our code of conduct, and particular rules as to how we move forward in having those discussions. And as my understanding is that even for the 23-24 school year, that we're going to be having the beginning of that discussion earlier than we typically would which is typically in May, and we're going to have that open up in April. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that report. Okay, it is now time for board committee updates. So any of your assigned committees, and we'll start with Member Davis.
Oh, thank you. I just had some reports from the Seminole Health Advisory Committee. There are some important dates I wanted to mention. The first one is that there are some Nemours is sponsoring a Well Child Checks and Vaccines this weekend, February 25th. And that is if your child needs any care that I think it's mobile, so they can actually come to your area. Also on March 8th is a new webinar for dads and mental health. And that is sponsored by the National Responsibility Fatherhood Clearinghouse. And dads can start participating as well. I know we have a lot of moms that are coming out for a lot of this stuff, but it'll be a great opportunity for dads to learn more. And then most importantly, we heard at the last meeting from two organizations. The one is with regard to mental health connections, and the other one is with regards to disability rights. And I'm going to give you some websites briefly. One is mhach.org. And basically they are the mastermind of all of the organizations that are available for our students and families regarding mental health. The Disability Rights of Florida, disabilityrightsflorida.org. And this is the organization that can help all of our students and families regarding anyone who has a disability. This includes not only help with special education, it also has to do with acquiring assistive technology, having disaster and emergency plans in place, help with employment issues, help with housing issues. Again, they also deal with mental health issues, as well as a bunch of other issues. They will get involved with legal advice. They have organizations that will that you will be referred to if you need very, very specific help or then more general help. It's an amazing organization that I actually wish I knew existed a long time ago, because a lot of families try to get through, you know, different areas in their life without help. And I think if you need help, this is the most beneficial place that you can start with. And like I said, they will even help you with school issues as well. I also wanted to remind everyone that the Seminole Department of Health, they also do services for adults, including any lab work at very reduced fees. So they're not only here for our students, but all of the parents and other people in the community who need an affordable opportunity for medical care should consult the Department of Health here in Seminole County as well. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you, Member Davis. Member Garrick?
I don't have any committee reports from this past 2 weeks, but I did want to let everybody know that this Thursday at the Velma Williams West Side Community Center, there is an open meeting of Sanford community leaders and Seminole County Health Department, as well as some other resources. So that is open to the public Thursday evening. And then in my earlier comments, I expressed my appreciation for the support that I have received. But I wanted to remind everyone that it is the goal of SCPS and the school board to make sure that each and every employee has the support and the education they need to serve our students so that each student can have the best educational opportunities possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Sanchez, committee reports.
So the first one, I'm chair of the Central Florida School Board Coalition, which represents 14 different counties. And we had a meeting last Monday. We have a meeting once a month, and it is open to the public for you to listen in, or we also have a recording of it as well. The meeting is done by WebEx because everybody is throughout Central Florida, and it's easier than having it in person now. And it's my way of getting everybody to be on the call. So we have a superintendent, a representative, an alternate, and if the county has a lobbyist or legislative delegate from their district, then they're also on the call. This past meeting, we had Dr. Danielle Thomas, who is our legislative advocate for FSBA, which is Florida School Board Association. She did a remarkable job and did a deep dive with us on so many different bills that are going on. And I'm going to say earlier, please take the time to look at all the different bills and really dissect them, find the positives, find things that you think that need to be changed and worked out, and talk to your legislators, email them, have your children email them. I think sometimes when we have our students speak on behalf of what's affecting them in the schools, AP classes, college boards, so on and so forth, let them voice their concerns and let them share their information with the legislators, because I think the legislators tend to really listen to our students. We haven't had a Zoom meeting, except we had the Indigo Jazz Festival that we had last week, or a week ago, 2 weeks ago, but we had our Teacher of the Year event, so I wasn't able to attend, but did really well with that. With the zoo, we have a board meeting coming up, but please go on to the zoo, Central Florida Zoo page, and check out all the wonderful opportunities for our students to be engaged in hands-on activities for spring camps, for the break, for after-school programs, for homeschooling parents, for a wide variety of activities over the weekend. It's a great place to visit and to learn about all of our natural habitats and learn about our animals that are there. On that, I did serve on one of our wireless network cable teams, RFPs, for the high schools, and I just wanted to do a shout out to Gregory Long, Ulysses Vasquez, Amanda Zarco, John Moramus. There were so many people in that meeting. I know I'm missing quite a few people, but out of all the RFPs that I've been in, that was probably one of the smoothest and most efficient meetings I've ever been in. Their comments were done so diligently, and they really did a great job with, looking at the different companies, and I really appreciate that because it saves so much time for all of us. So kudos to you and your teams for all the hard work on that. I do also want to mention the Dream Gala that we had with Seminole State College. The scholarship recipients, record-breaking amount of money that we raised. A couple of the kids that I actually taught in my class years ago were the college scholarship recipients. And to see all the amount of money that all of us were there to experience and be able to raise so much money for them and have such a great partnership that we have with Seminole State College is remarkable. Our TEACH program, nursing programs, all the different programs are just phenomenal, and that just shows you the collaboration of us working together with them and our work sessions that was done, Superintendent Beeman, about a month ago that we had a meeting with them, 2 months ago maybe?
A month or two, yeah.
Yes, and our collaboration with their board and our board, we were able to accomplish a lot. And, you know, it takes a village working together. I also wanted to mention that we had the academic tournament for the past 4 weeks or so, and we had the finals that were on Friday or Thursday? Thursday. And the students from all the high schools did a remarkable job, and I wanted to thank all the judges and all the phenomenal faculty that we have here in the county level that really have done a remarkable job making this event one of the top-notch events, and really allowing our children to do some, you know, high-level critical thinking, which should be done everywhere. It's like, are you smarter than a fifth grader? And a lot of those questions were really, really difficult. But I mean, I was sitting there trying to figure out some of the answers, and it was tough. So kudos to the phenomenal team for putting that together. I also wanted to mention this weekend we have the Velma Williams family event it's right across the street from Crooms that I think quite a few of us are going to be cheerleaders. I know you didn't know that before, but now you are. So it's going to be a fun event between the high schools and principals and all kinds of fun events going on at that day. But there's also 1,001 events going on that day. We have, you know, I do the Babe Ruth Altamont Springs pitching of our beginning of our season at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and then we are everywhere that day with so many different events, from our elementary music festival that will be taking place with the 3 honor groups, recorders, ensemble, Orff Ensemble, and the chorus, and that starts at 2 p.m. and I believe that's at Haggerty, in the Haggerty Auditorium. So that is open to the public, and I'm sure a lot of people will love to see different things with that. We have a District World Language Festival this weekend as well, from 8 to 1. The middle school track meet from 8 to 3 at Lake Mary High School. Demetria, thank you for sending over that. We will get there. And I know I feel horrible that we didn't get to the AP undergraduate or the underclassmen exhibit in the Castleberry Art House because of the Teacher of the Year event, which was the night of our event, but it's still open until February 27th. So hopefully one of us or all of us can get a chance to go and look at the exhibit there. I want you to take some time to look at some of the positive information that may be on our Seminole County page by now, or it's out there. WFTV did a remarkable job, Darlene Jones, with the mental health segment and the grant money that we received, and Dr. Shores and Amy Elwood put together. The millions of dollars of extra funding that we received that will be helping our students. And it's like almost a 4-minute segment that was showed on Friday and Saturday. So if you just type in Seminole County Mental Health Support Services, you can find it, and it is a phenomenal story. Of course, many of us during the pandemic have had quite a bit of mental health issues, or like Christine was talking about, mental wellness, which I like better. She brought that up the other day, and I'm like, I like that since I sit on the Allie's Hope Mental Health Board, but the mental wellness of everybody. But it all starts with all of us, and it starts with making sure that we do what we need to do, and you know, our open board discussions and talking things through. And yes, we did start talking about discipline issues, and that was something that I had brought to the board. And we are still in, a lot of us have different things and topics that we're all talking about, truancy and so on and so forth. So we are navigating our ways through this, and we are seeing an uptick in discipline issues. This is not just like some of the speakers had spoken about. This is not just an issue here, it's an issue nationwide, but we do need to be the leaders of the pack and do what we can to help our teachers, our faculty, and do what we can to make sure that our discipline is under control and that students do get consequences for behaviors that are not acceptable. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention, and besides going to all the different school visits and things like that, was that there are so many scholarships. I just Googled scholarships online, millions and millions of dollars every year that are not touched. Please check it out. Even our, I sit on the state PTA scholarship board, and we have scholarships that all you have to do is type in PTA, and you can apply for the scholarships that we offer. There's so many. How do you use dairy in your life? You can write an essay on that. So please check that out. And then, of course, we're going to be also doing a red ribbon, back to our red ribbon ceremony, which is Thursday night. And then, of course, our Seminole County PTA reflections, art reflections, award ceremony, back in person for that too. So there are many events going on, and we appreciate everything that you all do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Pennick.
I did not have any committee meetings. However, I just wanted to say thank you to the Daughters of American Revolution for their Good Citizen Award celebration. They recognized students from all of our high schools and gave out some scholarships. Many scholarships left unhanded out, as very few sign up for those. So there's money available. And want to just say thank you to all of the high schools that create an up-and-coming high school tours. Many of them had them this week. I was able to attend one of them, and the staff go above and beyond to expose our rising freshmen to what the opportunities are in the high schools. I do want to take this moment to request either another open discussion work session or additional time. The last few ones that we've had have been so stuffed full that we didn't get through all of the items. And we have 2 new board members that need to get acclimated to everything. And I think that we have a responsibility to get through the lists and the questions that we have more timely than pushing them off 1 or 2 months ahead of time, including our discipline policy. So if it's possible to look at the time, I don't think the early March one is, but I think that we need more time on the calendar for some open discussion work sessions.
Thank you.
I agree with that as well.
And we'll take that under advisement and see what we can get scheduled. Thank you. I have two quick things, because you mentioned the Seminole State Gala. The superintendent and I, and Amy, Member Pennick, were able to attend Vision Seminole, which was an event sponsored by Don Kraus and Leadership Seminole for their visioning workshop, which was all many leaders, faith leaders, community leaders, commissioners, school board members to participate in helping vision what the needs are in Seminole County, and I thought that was a great opportunity to have a voice, seat at the table, so to speak. I would also like to announce the foundation. I'm meeting this week, but I believe they've announced the golf tournament for April 30th at Legacy Lakes on Abby's birthday. And then the superintendent and I attended the mayor's and managers luncheon today, and we got an in-depth introduction to our new county manager, Mr. Darren Gray. He comes to our county with lots of experience, and I feel like our county is in very good hands with his experience. So we look forward to working together with him. Okay, it is now time for public comment, non-agenda items, and I'll call the first 3 speakers to line up. I'm going to mess up this last name. Micaiah Scobide? Am I messing that up? Oh, it might be Michael. I'm sorry, Michael. Let's go by Julie Reckner and Leanne. I said it right the first time. Bree Attico.
I apologize for being so slow getting up here. But anyway,
If you'll please state your name for
Michael Skubiak, thank you.
Thank you.
I worry for our country, the violence, the national debt, the wanton killings, the suppression of free speech, and erosion of civil behavior, as you heard from the beautiful women that were before me and the young gentleman. Anyway, I think I have a fix for that problem. The fix for the problem is not, in the last 3 years, there has been more than 600 mass shootings, about 2 a day average, and the rate is rising. I've been fortunate to have a job that allowed me to travel to 109 different countries. In many of these countries, I gave technical talks. I also observed the cultures of these countries and it made a very deep impression on me. Behavior of Japanese citizens was very different from what I normally experienced. We associate words like intelligence, politeness, strong health when we talk about the Japanese people. But what really makes the Japanese people so distinctly different from the rest of us? Well, the answer is the Japanese incredible, amazing education system. Japanese early education system, manners before knowledge. For the first 3 years of school, they don't test for any educational material. It's always behavior, animals, stuff like that. During the course of the first 3 years, Japanese children are taught to respect people and be gentle to animals and nature. At a very young age, they also learn to be generous, compassionate, and empathetic. Other skills that are taught during this period are grit, which is the same thing as perseverance, self-control, and justice. Students clean their own classrooms themselves. Most Japanese schools don't employ janitors. Students clean their own classrooms, cafeterias, and even the toilets. Japanese education system believes that this activity teaches the students to work as a team and respect the environment.
Sir, your time has expired. If you have your comments, you can certainly provide it to
Yeah, I'll
the...
wrap up right now. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I left you a long paper for you guys to read. I really think it's a seismic shift, and you guys I think you guys should really consider a new system. You got violence in the school. You're not going to change it with more rules and more punishment. You'll never change it that way. Look at this civil society. Look what's happening. Wake up. Do something.
Thank you.
Order, please.
That was actually quite fascinating. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board this evening. I think everyone in this room
Pardon
is in
me.
agreement.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Would you please state your name first?
I'm sorry,
before you
Julianne Reckner.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the board this evening. I think everyone in this room is in agreement that we all desire the best for our children and our young people. We want them to be safe, cared for, and taught properly so that they can be successful, happy, and functioning members of society. In that spirit, I would like to address the issue of the need of prompt, prudent disciplinary action when necessary so that our children and teachers can feel safe. If you don't enforce rules, you're doing a great disservice to the students, the teachers, and the offender. The instruction manual for life, AKA the Bible, in Proverbs says, if you don't punish your children, you don't love them. And if you love them, you will correct them. Also, discipline your children while they are young enough to learn. If you don't, you're helping them destroy themselves. Young people need the security of boundaries in their lives, and we need to be clear on what those boundaries are and what the consequences are of crossing those boundaries. Our teachers need to be free to enforce rules and correct bad behavior or actions when necessary without fear. Doing so will have manifold benefits. The other students will feel safe, the teachers will be empowered, and the offenders will benefit in the end. There seems to be some ambivalence on this point where there really shouldn't be. I know you care about the future of these young people and their teachers, so I ask that you would allow them to act honorably in the way of disciplinary implementation, together with effective, resourceful teaching. Every student deserves the right to feel safe as they navigate their way through education in Seminole County schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Order,
Leanne-
please.
Leanne I'm going to get this right. Briatico, Michelle Jones, Michelle Penninger, and then Katie Murphy.
Good evening, school board members and Superintendent Beeman.
Good evening.
I'm Leanne Briatico, and I teach third grade at Crystal Lake Elementary in Lake Mary. However, tonight, I'm also here as the teacher representative for Seminole County Council PTA. Some of you have heard this before, but since it was the catalyst for what's happened since, I'm going to tell you again. On May 5th last year, my students had just finished the FSA math assessment. I was completing paperwork before turning in the test when I noticed a student running his water bottle around his mouth like this. I continued working, looking up a few seconds later, only to see him wide-eyed and clutching his throat, which is the universal sign for choking. I noticed the water bottle on his desk with no cap on it. I asked him if he could breathe and got no response. He just held his throat and looked terrified. I quickly ran around to him and started administering abdominal thrusts with no success. I did this 8 or 9 times and nothing happened. I yelled for the other students to get the teacher across the hall. At this point, something told me to slow down, get your hands in the right position, and thrust upwards. So I made sure my hands were under his rib cage area and gave 2 deep thrusts in and up, and the bottle cap finally dislodged. He was able to breathe again, and he's currently doing great as a 4th grader this year. I attribute my ability to help this student to the fact that I received CPR and choking response training over 30 years ago when I worked for a hospital. This type of training gave me the ability to help a child when he needed it most. This incident led to discussion among SCCPTA board members about the potential to write a resolution supporting training for school employees on life-saving skills and devices use. This process involved hours of in-depth research and collaboration to develop a resolution titled Life-Saving Training and Devices. I've since organized 2 training opportunities for staff at Crystal Lake Elementary, and our PTA has offered a training for parents.
Thank you.
I know, right? I am Michelle Passenger, SEC PTA President. Good evening, and thank you, board members and Superintendent Beeman. PTA was formed in 1897 with a mission to make the school a better place for children to learn. Florida PTA was founded in 1923, and we're celebrating 100 years old this year. PTA's mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Seminole County Council of PTAs encompasses about 58 to 60 local units. PTA resolutions and position statements are official documents outlining the opinion, will, or intent of the association to address local, state, or national problems, situations, or concerns that affect children and youth and require action to seek resolution on the issue. These resolutions are supported with current research and voted on by the local, state, and/or national units. Once adopted, we may advocate as PTA for those resolutions. SEC PTA adopted this resolution at our general meeting on January 28th, 2023. We are here tonight to share this with you and thank you for your support and the proactive work that Seminole County Public Schools is doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Michelle Jones, Katie Murphy, Nina
Order,
Sandberg.
please.
Good evening.
Hi, Jonesy.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Jones, affectionately known as Jones, Seminole County Council Vice President of Operations. Thank you, board members and Superintendent Beeman. Our resolution is included in the packet we sent each of you. I will read the rationale that encompasses information from the whereases and the resolves, life savings, trainings, and device rationale. Here we go. Each year, children die of choking, cardiac arrests, bleeding, and overdoses. Immediate action by trained people reduces the incidences of death or severity of injury from these events. Immediate access to life-saving devices and other materials such as bleed kits, overdose reversal kits, and fully stocked first aid kits also contribute to the successful recoveries. Since children spend a large portion of their time in schools, the school community needs to be prepared for these emergencies. Often, students are in view of just one adult during their time in school. Thus, the training of all adults on a school campus can increase the chances of a positive outcome, since a trained person is more likely to be available in an emergency. Training should encompass techniques to respond to first aid emergencies, for example, choking, bleeding, breathing problems, cardiac arrest, and drug overdoses. We must do all we can to ensure that our students' lives are not endangered. We need to expand life-saving trainings to include students, parents, community members, and staff, and easily accessible having easily accessible life-saving devices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Order, please.
Hi,
Hi, Katie.
I'm Katie Murphy. I'm the SCC PTA Secretary and Foundation Liaison for the PTA. I want to thank you, board members and Superintendent Beeman, for allowing us this opportunity. We want to thank our SCPTA Administrative Board members, Heidi Gooch, our Superintendent's representative, our principal representatives from the high school, Peter Gaffney, middle school, Melissa Ladani, elementary school, Patricia May, and a grateful thank you to Amy Elwood, Assistant Superintendent for Student Support Services, and Michael Wiederman, the RN Coordinator of Medical and Health Services. They spent their time enlightening us on the life-saving training and devices currently available in Seminole County and offering suggestions for improving our resolution, which was very helpful. We wish to thank SCPS for currently offering trainings for staff and strongly encourage all SCPS staff to regularly participate in these trainings and review their awareness of device availability and locations. If your child is choking, unconscious, or bleeding, do you know what to do? As we read in our extensive research, the best chance for survival is a trained bystander. And as Gregory Gilbert that we researched stated, choking is an emergency that must be resolved on the scene. There is limited value in bringing an unresolved choking victim to the ER for definitive treatment. Thank you for your time and proactiveness, and we were excited to see the two recognized tonight for also using the Heimlich maneuver. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Order, please.
Next, I have Nina Sandberg, Carmelita Pierre, and Catherine Ordere.
I'm Nina Sandberg. Parents and teachers from all political parties are most concerned with the lack of proper handling of the most serious discipline offenses, especially discipline offenses that involve mental, emotional, and physical bullying, harassment, physical attacks, violence, sexual harassment, sexual touching, drugs, stealing, vaping, vandalism, etc. I've said many times that children do commit suicide over events at school. A 14-year-old girl committed suicide after being beaten up at school in New Jersey a few days ago. When my son was 11, he was ruthlessly bullied on a daily basis by both students and employees at the same time. He was also ruthlessly retaliated against by employees after I filed complaints about problems at the school. I had to yank my child out of an SCPS school to do emergency home and private school to separate him from his abusers because SCPS refused to force his abusers to stop abusing him and just leave him alone at school. As a parent, I was very reasonable in my requests. I just asked the board and superintendent to stop the abuse of my son at school. They refused to make any intervention at all to stop it. The abuse continued for months until I stopped it myself by withdrawing my child from SCPS in utter disgust. I have since found out that many other SCPS parents have been forced to yank their kids out of SCPS schools in disgust because SCPS refuses to provide a safe, secure, wholesome, loving, and caring environment for their kids to thrive in. Also, you need to change non-agenda public comment time back to 3 minutes because 2 minutes is not enough time to explain any problem at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Order, please.
Carmelita.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to address your council and superintendent. Study to show thyself approved. That comes from 2 Timothy. Education, learning, is a requirement for life, living it to the fullest. As we look at programs like AP African American Studies, it's very important that all students learn the beauty for our ashes. It's very important that we discuss freedom, enslavement, resistance. Remembering is very important. How we move forward is very important. Together, one, unity. As mentioned, it's very important that we talk to our legislators. It's very important that we encourage our students, our children, to give them what they need. It takes a village. As I see the hearts displayed tonight, and I hear the voices, I know you stand with us. I know you understand that our kids are in need. Together, unity, one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Order, please.
Catherine Ordray, William Shiflett, and Jessica Tillman.
Hi, I'm Katie Andre. I'm a teacher here in Seminole County, and I'm here to talk about teacher pay. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which the abuser attempts to sow self-doubt and confusion in their victims' minds. Typically, gaslighters seek to gain power and control over the other person by distorting reality and forcing them to question their own judgment and intuition. Teachers are gaslit every day, whether it be society saying, well, you know what type of job you're getting into, or during a PD hearing, you're in it for the outcome, not the income. Or hearing a school board member read a story that ends with, I may not have made a lot, but I know I've made a difference. Throughout teaching, we are asked, why? What's your why? I ask you, why can't teachers nowadays buy a home, have family, and raise kids? I ask why the single mom who's a teacher's kids qualify for a free and reduced lunch. And I ask why teachers are fundraising for cancer treatment. At the end of the day, we're not asking for much. We are just asking for our life. Currently, I have to pull up the numbers super quick. You guys have lost 238 teachers this school year. And you have hired 50 since the beginning of 2023. I ask that you address teacher pay as to help not only retain teachers, but to help stop the gaslighting that just because we are public servants and just because we are mostly women does not mean that we do not deserve compensation. Thank you.
Order, please.
William Shiflett, Jessica Tillman, Marjorie Murray.
Hi, my name is William Shiflett. I have come here to talk about something I find to be a concerning issue. I go to Lake Mary High. I'm a senior there. Towards the start of the month, I went to the discipline office to ask if I could carry Narcan in my bag because it's an opioid reversal overdose. It reverses opiate overdoses. And the receptionist that was in the discipline office and the discipline lady, admin, didn't know what Narcan was. That is shocking. I went to my principal and asked her if we even had Narcan at school, and she had to go and ask the school resource officers whether or not they carried it. They do, but it's because it's a part of their uniform, not because it's, they choose to carry it, not because they think it's important to have in schools. What if I were to drop on the floor and start overdosing one day because I drank out of somebody's water bottle that had something in it, Not too long ago, there was a student who had a seizure from consuming a pot brownie or an edible. It's not an opioid overdose, however, it is a misuse of drugs. It is still an overconsumption of drugs. The school nurse, the National Association of School Nurses says that the school nurse should be instrumental when it comes to administration of Narcan. However, I wasn't informed of the nurse having Narcan, and most of my teachers didn't even know if there was like a response policy to an overdose. That is terrifying, considering we have had, there's a student named Tristan who passed away from an overdose at home 2 years ago. It's a pressing issue that, you know, is in our area. The rise of fentanyl overdoses, that's scary. It can be in anything nowadays. I think we should have at least some sort of policy. We should start implementing Narcan into schools, as it is free or cheap to get into schools. Flagler County is doing it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jessica Tillman, Marjorie Murray, and Thomas Bugos. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Marjorie Murray, and I live in Winter Springs. You are frustrated because you don't have the funds to provide equitable salaries for all teachers. Well, the reason you don't is a consequence of a concerted effort to dismantle public education in Florida. When you want to dismantle something, what do you do first? You create chaos. How? By requiring a minimum salary for beginning teachers without providing funds to equalize the salaries for all teachers. This pits the teachers against the school board. By expanding the voucher program, where $4 billion of public education funds will be diverted away from public schools and into private schools, money that could be used to equalize salaries. By banning books and threatening to dismiss teachers if they use the banned books. That is chaos. Now let's see the hypocrisy in what the governor and the legislature are doing. The governor says over and over, education, not indoctrination, and that is his rationale for micromanaging your curriculum and banning your books.
Order, please.
Yet $4 billion are going from public to private schools, many of whom indoctrinate, whether it is indoctrination of a religion or an ideology, and their books are not being banned. How are they going to fund $4 billion for vouchers? By eliminating AP courses and other services that benefit your students and parents, and by using funds you could have had to compensate your teachers for the incredible job they do. Former Commissioner of Education Richard Corcoran is the new politically appointed president of New College, a public college. His base salary is proposed to be $699,000, which is more than double the salary of the person he replaced. I ask you, board, did you receive funds from the state to double the salary of your employees? No. The funds you might have received will go to public schools with the voucher expansion. You,
Ms.
as
Murray,
well
your
as
time has
every
expired.
teacher, parent, bus driver, administrator, and every other
Your
employee
time
should
has
be
expired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Order, please. Order.
Good evening, school board members and Superintendent Beeman. I am Thomas Joe Bugas II, and I'm a 16-year veteran here at teacher here at Seminole County. And as you've heard tonight and you see in the national news, Florida is making the spotlight for discipline issues. Some counties have taken drastic actions to force students to follow basic decorum while basically ignoring the programs already designed to support all student learning. I'm here to ask you that we take positive action now. I say we because it needs to be the school board, teachers, support staff, and the parents that take action here. Since I've been in Seminole County, we have always been a leader, not a follower. We need to lead now. From my own class, I have had students that can be extremely disruptive, but still need to learn. If a student cannot read, I teach. If the student can't write, I teach. And if the student can't behave, I punish. That doesn't sit right with a professional educator. We need to teach, and we have the programs in place in this county and across all the schools' disciplines to teach our students how to behave properly, but we're not using them. We're not implementing them fully. And I am here to ask you that we help use these programs. It's a small number of students that are doing this, but we are not teaching them. We are allowing them to continue to disrupt, and it affects all students, not just those that are disrupting. When I spend most of my class time trying to discipline a student to stop yelling out in class or stop yelling or getting in a fight with another student, I'm not teaching anyone in the classroom. And I need that support. We need to implement these programs that are already in place. And I am asking you tonight that you take a comprehensive research and evaluation of your support programs aimed at discipline and supporting students. Because writing a referral for me is just not enough. I can write them every single day. It's not going to end the problem. Until I teach that student how to behave appropriately in class, it's not going to solve anything. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next up is Raquel Molina, Stephen Cornea, and Reed Arnold, please.
Good evening. My name is Raquel Molina. I'm sorry. Thank you. As a Seminole County taxpayer, my expectation from board members and superintendent is to place our children's education and safety before your own personal or political ambitions, not the other way around. Like the gentleman said, please wake up and do something. Help fix this broken system. Please revise the discipline code, update and enforce your bullying policies. Stop covering up abuse. Stop gaslighting teachers and gaslighting parents in IEP meetings. I went through that a lot. And retaliating against good, caring, hardworking people, employees, parents. I've seen that a lot too. We need discipline reform now and stop wasting taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Order, please.
Hi, Stephen Cornea, Seminole County teacher. There's been a lot of talk recently about teacher pay and the number of teachers that leaving. And I can tell you it's not just because of the money that teachers are leaving. I think people sometimes don't ask the questions that need to be asked. So here are some of them that I would say ask to teachers. Have you ever not called in sick because prepping for a sub is more difficult than taking 2 Tylenol and coming into work? How many of you regularly teach classes that exceed the state mandated limits? How many of you are supposed to teach technology and have 2 or more broken classrooms, 2 or more broken laptops in your classroom? How many of you teach in an ESC support facilitated classroom and have had your support facilitator pulled at least once in the last 2 weeks? How many of you have been assigned to take students for a period from a different grade level and a different subject? How many of you regularly work more than 10 hours off the clock per week? How many of you actually have 1 guaranteed uninterrupted plan period per day and are not asked to take students during that period? How many of you feel your knowledge and experience and input are valued by administrators, district when developing new programs? Do you feel your administration could do more to support you? Have you ever written a discipline referral that was not processed? Have you ever had a student commit an infraction that was assessed a consequence that was less than what was specified in the matrix? How many of you have ever not felt safe in your classroom? How many of you have not spoken up because you're concerned that rocking the boat will lead to non-reappointment at the end of the year because you're an annual contract teacher? The district makes much of data, so this is a completely unscientific poll answered by people who choose to respond to my email. How many of you teachers are less excited being a teacher now than you were 5 years ago? And that number is 79%. If you could find a job that were available that would pay the same, would you leave immediately? 40% said yes. Would you leave at the end of the year? That number grew to almost 70%. If you're paid what you would consider reasonable, would you still consider leaving? And over 50% said yes to that question. The problem is there. One last thing. When Dr. Weissong talked about the summer program,
Sir, your
the
time has
effective grants-
expired. Thank you.
You're welcome to leave your comments for Jill. Yeah.
Order, please.
Good evening. My name's Reed Arnold, and I'm here on behalf of a first grader at Bear Lake Elementary. I guess I'm a little late to the party in talking about school safety, bullying, hitting, violent language, stuff like that, but it's going on at Bear Lake. Bear Lake used to be an A-rated school. Don't know where it is now, but it definitely isn't an A-rated school. I think a large problem is lack of communication. At the last school board meeting, it was brought up that there was a child that had threatened to kill kids and shoot a school resource officer in the head. Parents didn't find out till a month later. I've also heard that a kid brought a BB gun to school and shot a teacher in the eye. Can't confirm that because it wasn't put out there by the school, but the parents talk and the kids talk. And unfortunately, all we get as parents is the rumor mill because the school isn't putting out what's going on and what disciplinary actions have been taken and what is being done to improve the school conditions and the learning environment. That's where my concern comes from. And as it relates to choice for schools, if Bear Lake Elementary is broken and it's not going to get fixed here, the only choice is going to be for people to move the students to an unbroken school. It's K through 5 school, not Sing Sing or Chino. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Order, please.
Okay. So there were a couple items brought up tonight, especially the Seminole County Council PTA, that I'm hoping we can add sooner rather than later to any open discussions to consider as a board.
The, I want to say March 7th, open discussion. Any board member can add topics for that upcoming.
Okay. And do we need, I don't know if it's an all-in-one training. I know we've done Stop the Bleed, not the new board members, but some of us have done training.
For the board members?
No, just for, I want all staff members too.
And I will have that conversation with Ms. Elwood. I know we do comprehensive training for different items across staff to kind of bring back to you where we're at with the staff and the different types of trainings that have been provided.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So when, Madam Clerk, when do we need to provide you the topics for the March?
I was actually going to send you all an email tomorrow afternoon after I meet with the superintendent, I think at 2. I meet with you for draft agenda for 3-7. Yes, I think we do. So I was going to email you after I've spoken to the superintendent on the list for topics for 3-7.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that satisfactory? Okay, any other comments?
I just have one comment. Many months ago, oh gosh, it might have been last year, about the Narcan, I had brought that to an open board discussion. And we had discussed it about how Publix would, give it free to all of our schools. Have we followed up on any of that?
Well, the discussion at the workshop was that all of our SROs on every campus has Narcan. And so that was where the discussion regarding that particular item resolved.
So I think we need to do a better job of letting all the staff know based on what we heard this evening, if we could do that as well. Any other comments?
Superintendent, could we get some more information either from the health department to the board or perhaps from the sheriff's department, who I know is actively working with opioid overdoses, about the appropriateness of having Narcan available by one resource at the school, or whether it would be more beneficial to have additional?
Absolutely, we can, and every officer, so if we have more than one officer, and we do on a number of our campuses, every officer has the Narcan available to them on site. But absolutely, we can add that information as you all would would like to, for more discussion
That
and
would be
have
great.
that brought to you.
Thank you for the clarification. And it is at all grade levels, elementary, middle, and high, correct?
All officers throughout the county, so whether they're Seminole County Sheriff's Office or the municipality law enforcement has the Narcan on them at our schools. That was the information that was provided to us by Captain Fortenberry during our workshop discussion.
Very good, thank you.
Any other questions? Member Davis, any questions? Okay, seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
No. Thank you.